Well, hello students and game developers. As I was going through my videos, I started to realize that there's so much stuff in between. And I'm trying to cover everything for you because I think it's important. Remember that you have two things to think about. One is the game in itself. What kind of game do you want? You're gonna always choose the theme as we saw over here. I'm gonna choose a different one because I want to show you what different things you can do. And let's choose a village. Remember that when you choose the theme village, you gotta click on create game on the bottom to open it up. As you can see, the game already has created place number 12 because I didn't give it any name. And right now we're gonna click edit. We open Roblox Create, which is a Roblox Studio. This is very cool because it allows you to create a new world if you are not a very savvy programmer by having worlds that have already pre-created for you. Of course, what we're going to teach you now is how to modify things using terrain and other elements of the Explorer. If you remember, the Explorer window is one of the several windows that we'll be using constantly. This is where you can access every single thing that you have added to your game. And we saw that the Explorer contains several services such as workspace, players, which is where you're going to put your leader stats, lining, in which you will put the script for your events, replicated first, storage, and GUIs. It also starter player or starter pack. In a starter pack is where you're going to put in the scripts needed for every player when they come into the game to have a backpack, for example, or to have a weapon, or to have a knife, whatever weapons or hat or clothing or whatever that you want your player to begin with the game. You can also change sounds in Soundscape or there's so many things that you can do. In a starter GUI, you will be creating all the GUIs or signs. So as you can see, we have right here a village. If you move around, you can see that you have it's a pretty decent village. And if we wanted to play, you can always go to test and play with your character. So let's click play here. I'm going to show you what happens when we click play here. The amazing thing about it is that Roblox Lua programming pretty much did everything. You can use your clipboard and you can right click and duplicate anything on the world. You can enter the buildings already. They have already been created for you. So how would I enter in the house, for example, will be to go into the house under that script of the house and create a command that by pressing E or by clicking or pressing the door or touching the door will allow me to open it. Some houses are open, as you can see. And of course, remember that you can go into, let me stop again, the testing part of it. And I like to click on game and I like to go into view. And this is one of the things you're going to be using. You can see that the Explorer is on the right hand side over here. One of the first things you want to do is clear the spawn location. And this is under workspace. If you click workspace and you scroll down, you should find a spawn location. If not, what you can do is press type S or select the spawn and see if you can find it. There we go. So you can click on the spawn location and then click on the location and it will put it for you. So now if you click file save, every time you come in it will spawn in a certain location. So spawning locations are very useful because as the maps of your games get bigger, you might want your character, instead of appearing in the middle of the city, you might want the character to appear, for example, on top of that bridge, or farther away in another area. So, okay, so let's do a terrain editor. This is something that we didn't do in the videos before. So you can generate terrain, and generate, you can click on small, medium, large, massive. I like to start with the small and medium so I know, and you can create a cave, for example. And it tells you, okay, what do you want to create? You're going to create lava flow, a marsh, hills. So let's add, for example, you can make the bigger, as you can see, now you can see something, it's sort of like a Cartesian, or in which you can create, like, if we click, we're creating, you can paint them. And when you go into paint, if you scroll down, you can see the different materials. And you can make that one sand, for example, or you can do ice, or you can do snow. And then growing will make the part grow. Okay, and some of these effects look pretty cool. And all of this is practice. You get better. You might not remember. You can move around with the mouse, and then erode will be the opposite. It will be you're making it smaller with eroding. And then a smooth will be rounding things up a little bit on the top. So a lot of these can look pretty cool. You can also, you might find useful, and this is just my taste. You can do, obviously, as you go learning, you be better, and you can choose whatever works best for you. I found out that for me, when I was doing terrain like this, the round one, sort of like a medium size, will work better. But if I was doing ice or water next to the edge, then I would use the square one. Okay, and sometimes I don't recommend that you do this at the beginning. You can do a snap to the grid to make sure that things won't float on a space. So let me explain what I'm trying to say. So every time you add, either you're adding something on the terrain, or you're going to, where's the toolbox? Let's find the toolbox. Okay, we got the game explorer. We got our properties here. So by clicking on a part, you can see the properties. Oh, the toolbox over here. I wasn't be able to see it because I had game here open. It's too many windows. There you go. Okay, so now we have a toolbox open. So every time that you add something, let's say that you want to add a drooling zombie here, you want to make sure that, and you can go for these two properties. You can see that the drooling zombie shows on your right hand side under the exploder, but you want to make sure that that you are attaching these, or anchoring it. And anchoring means just because you're seeing it here like this, that doesn't mean that when you're playing it will show attached. The zombie might be flying in the air instead of being attached to the rock, for example. So let me save this, and I'm going to save it to test 1, for example. I'm going to save it to my desktop, and then I'm going to save it into Roblox. Publish to Roblox. You want to publish to Roblox because, yes, you can save it in the computer. I'm going to use this one. You always want to save a copy on the computer and another one on Roblox. However, as the games get bigger, be aware that your computer might go slower, and you may have problems if you have several versions. Remember that every time that you're saving to your computer, if you don't edit the same game, you're creating pretty much a different game or a different instance. So don't do that, okay? And now you publish to Roblox, and when you publish to Roblox, now we can test and run it and see how it looks. My computer is just taking a while, as you can see, because I have different versions. And do you see what happened? So I thought I was putting the zombie on the rock, but the zombie is just you know, walking by themselves. So it is working. It is a working zombie. Let me stop again. Let me put the zombie here in a place that maybe he can walk around. And I'm gonna save it on here. And also I'm gonna save it or publish to Roblox. Press OK. And now we're gonna run it. We're gonna run it because I want to see if now it's working better. So the zombie is in there and it's working fine. And you can't hear it, but obviously, as you can see in the right hand side, you see this says moan. That's because the zombie is actually doing noise. And if you click and hold, you can move closer and we can see what's going on here. And you can see that one of the legs is kind of floating in the air. So I'm going to stop it. And this is helpful. So that's one lesson. One thing that you need to learn is when you put things in anything, you got to test it. Let me put a soldier, for example. Because, and you got to see it from up close, like we're doing right now. If you do it from far away, sometimes it will look like they're standing on a surface, but they're not. They might be on the air. And remember that the client versus the server. So it doesn't look the same when you're building it or when you're saving it than when you're playing it. Okay, so just be aware of that. I'm going to publish to Roblox. And I think this is the one, number 12. I haven't really edited the name. And now we're going to run it. And we're going to say run it here. There you go. So see, that's working fine. So I got a soldier and he's just pointing with a gun. And the good thing about the toolbox is that all of these has been created for you by other programmers, and pretty much you can create all kinds of things and worlds with it. But like I say, if you want to, we're gonna go through the coding of a couple exercises on how to do humanoids and day of 9 cycle. I'm gonna try to put 3 or 4 codes for you to get you started. But if you're the programmer and know already a little bit JavaScript or Python, Lua programming is going to be super easy for you, and you can create your little scripts. And pretty much what you got to do is remember there's a hierarchy. Like you can see trees, there's a lot of pine trees in here. If you go into marsh plants, then you got all the plants. And so if you wanted to create, let's go into players, for example. When we open players, you can create a trail or a billboard GUI for when the players come in, and so you can give them tools, and then on the tool you could, you know, add some kind of like a bean or smoke or particle emitter or something. So that would be something that the player will have when the game starts. Okay, so I hope that you understand that everything is about hierarchy, and you want to make sure that when you do coding or a script that you put it under the right territory. Well, I'll see you in the next video. I'm gonna try to put a couple of coding exercises for you so you can have an example. But truly the right way to learn this is by also getting extra resources and by doing. So thank you so much, and I see you in the next video.